Welcome to Sanctuary Peacemakers, where we discuss all things related to security inside houses of worship with your host, Unity. Now, let's enter the crucible of our discussion. When you hear the word church, you might picture a place of peace, a place where people come to worship, to find community, and to feel safe. Unfortunately, in the world we live in today, that sense of safety can no longer be taken for granted. Between January 2018 and December 2024, the Family Research Council recorded 1,384 acts of hostility towards churches across the United States. This includes vandalism, arson, bomb threats, and even shootings. That's not a number to shrug off. That's an average of over 16 incidents every single month. And according to the Faith-Based Security Network's Deadly Force study, nearly 53% of deadly force incidents at faith-based organizations come from robbery, domestic violence, or personal conflict, situations that can erupt without warning. When we talk about church safety and security teams, we're not talking about turning the sanctuary into a fortress or scaring people away from worship. We're talking about being prepared. We're talking about creating a culture of awareness, one where your congregation knows that somebody is watching the doors, monitoring the crowd, and ready to respond if something goes wrong. Whether it's an act of violence, a medical emergency, or even a fire alarm that needs quick evacuation. As believers, we know Scripture calls us to be both gentle as doves and wise as serpents. That wisdom means understanding that while we put our trust in God, we also have a duty to protect His people. In the Old Testament, Nehemiah rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. But he didn't just build, he stationed guards. The people worked with one hand and held a weapon in the other, ready to defend the city as they built it. That wasn't a lack of faith, it was an expression of faith through preparation. And that's what Sanctuary Peacemakers is all about. This podcast is dedicated to those who serve quietly but faithfully. The men and women who stand watch during Sunday services, who keep an eye on the parking lot, who are trained not just to react, but to respond. Let me tell you a little bit about what we do. I've spent over 9 years in the security field, with 5 of those years working in armed security. I'm also a Navy veteran. Over the last few years, I've had the opportunity to bring that experience to my church, helping build, train, and grow a safety and security team from the ground up. Now, what just started as a small effort to watch doors and walk the halls has grown into a well-organized, well-trained team that can respond to everything from medical emergencies to active shooter threats. And I don't do it alone. My partner in this venture is also a veteran. He's got 10 years of law enforcement experience and over a decade as a firearms instructor. Together, we've taken that combined experience and built an initiative that helps other churches do the same. We go out to congregations that may not have a team yet, or maybe they do have one, but it's unstructured, and we help them create a foundation. Because having a safety team isn't optional anymore. It's vital. Here's why. The Department of Homeland Security estimates that the average active shooter incident lasts less than 5 minutes. Police response times, even in populated areas, average between 3 and 11 minutes. And in rural areas, that can stretch out much longer. In those few minutes, lives can be saved or lost, depending on how prepared your church is. A well-trained safety team bridges that gap. They can alert law enforcement immediately, begin medical aid, secure exits, and protect the congregation until help arrives. Throughout this series, we'll explore topics like how to recruit and train a safety team that fits your church's culture, how to handle threats without creating fear, legal considerations that every church should understand, the intersection between faith and preparedness, how we can balance trust in God with practical action. And we'll even dive into current events and case studies, what's working and what's not, and what lessons can be learned from real-world incidents. You'll also hear from experienced professionals, law enforcement, security specialists, and church leaders who've walked this road before. But before we dive into all that, I want to make something clear. The purpose of this podcast and of the Sanctuary Peacemakers initiative isn't just about guns, guards, and gear. It's about peace through preparation. It's about being the hands and feet of Christ, protecting the body of believers so that worship can continue unhindered. Every usher, every greeter, every volunteer on a safety team, you are a peacemaker. And Scripture tells us, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." So whether you're just starting to think about building a safety team, or you already have one and want to take it to the next level, this podcast is for you. Together, we'll confront the challenges, share the knowledge, and strengthen the defenses of our sanctuaries. Because peace doesn't just happen. It's something we build, protect, and preserve. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Sanctuary Peacemakers. If you'd like to learn more about what we do, or if your church needs help creating or training a safety team, reach out to us through our website, sanctuarysafety.us, and we'll be glad to help guide you through the process. Until next time, y'all stay safe and y'all stay blessed.